Governor Walz, if you were the final voice in the Situation Room, would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you. And thank you for those joining at home tonight. Let's keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. But the expansion of Israel and its proxies is an absolute fundamental necessity for the United States to have the steady leadership there. You saw it experienced today, where along with our Israeli partners and our coalition, able to stop the incoming attack. But what's fundamental here is that steady leadership is going to matter. It's clear, and the world saw it on that debate stage a few weeks ago. A nearly 80-year-old Donald Trump talking about crowd sizes is not what we need in this moment. But it's not just that. It's those that were closest to Donald Trump that understand how dangerous he is when the...
If you were in the room, what would you do? What are you talking about?
...world is this dangerous. His chief of staff, John Kelly, said that he was the most flawed human being he'd ever met. And both of his secretaries of defense and his national security advisors said he should be nowhere near the White House. Now, the person closest to them, Donald Trump, said he's unfit for the highest office. That was Senator Vance. What we've seen out of Vice President Harris is we've seen steady leadership. We've seen a calmness that is able...
Is this side of the aisle just incapable of answering a question? What is he talking about? Like, park your Trump commentary and get to the question. He's already annoying.
To be able to draw on the coalitions to bring them together. Understanding that our allies matter. When our allies see Donald Trump turn towards Vladimir Putin, turn towards North Korea, when we start to see that type of fickleness around...
How can he say this with a straight face when under Trump, everybody was under manas? Literally, nobody tried a thing because Donald Trump is a strong president and they know they couldn't with the United States of America under his leadership. It's nothing but war under these guys. How could you possibly sit here with a straight face and lie to the public watching? We all have eyes. This is insanity. Already, I'm just like, whoa.
Holding the coalitions together, we will stay committed. And as the vice president said today
Stay committed? I'm sorry, y'all. Like, are we even a minute in and I just can't stand this guy's word salad? Like, you're almost worse than your partner.
We will protect our forces and our allied forces, and there will be consequences.
Governor, your time is up. Senator Vance, the same question. Would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
So, Margaret, I want to answer the question. First of all, thanks, Governor.
Please.
Thanks to CBS for hosting the debate. And thanks, most importantly, to the American people who are watching this evening and caring enough about this country to pay attention to this vice presidential debate. I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are. I was raised in a working class family. My mother required food assistance for periods of her life. My grandmother required Social Security help to raise me. And she raised me in part because my own mother struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life. I went to college on the GI Bill after I enlisted in the Marine Corps and served in Iraq. And so I stand here asking to be your vice president with extraordinary gratitude for this country, for the American dream that made it possible for me to live my dreams. And most importantly, I know that a lot of you are worried about the chaos in the world and the feeling that the American dream is unattainable. I want to try to convince you tonight over the next 90 minutes that if we get better leadership in the White House, if we get Donald Trump back in the White House, the American dream is going to be attainable once again. Now, to answer this particular question.
Such a classy man. This guy just spent his time ranting and raving about a president, a former president, that he's saying would be the worst thing for the presidential White House. However, that same person never had a war under their administration. And then here you have J.D. Vance, who uses his time very eloquently, introduces himself in such a fashion, and then hopefully answers the question he was asked. Jeez.
We have to remember that as much as Governor Waltz just accused Donald Trump of being an agent of chaos, Donald Trump actually delivered stability in the world, and he did it by establishing effective deterrence. People were afraid of stepping out of line. Iran, which launched this attack, has received over $100 billion in unfrozen assets thanks to the Kamala Harris administration. What do they use that money for? They use it to buy weapons that they're now launching against our allies, and God forbid,
listen close, Waltz. This is how you answer a question.
Potentially launching against the United States as well. Donald Trump recognized that for people to fear the United States, you needed peace through strength. They needed to recognize that if they got out of line, the United States global leadership would put stability and peace back in the world. Now, you asked about a preemptive strike, Margaret, and I want to answer the question. Look, it is up to Israel what they think they need to do to keep their country safe, and we should support our allies wherever they are when they're fighting the bad guys. I think that's the right approach to take with the Israel question.
Thank you, Senator.
Spoken like a true vice president. You know what I mean? Look at him. Look at this handsome guy. Seriously, that old bumbling buffoon over there. No. Like, this is how you know they really think America's stupid. He said with a straight face that Trump isn't fit for the office on a war topic. Meanwhile, there has been endless wars started since the beginning of this administration. You can't hide or run from that. You guys have no ability to get it under control either. It's just been going on and going. Trump has said over and over, on day one, once elected, this is done. This war is over. He knows what to say, and he will get on the phone, and this is done. Lives will be saved under that man. People will be killed under this man.
Governor Walz, do you care to respond to any of the allegations?
Well, look, Donald Trump was in office. We'll sometimes hear a revisionist history, but when Donald Trump was in office, it was Donald Trump who we had a coalition of nations that had boxed Iran's nuclear program in, the inability to advance it. Donald Trump pulled that program and put nothing else in its place.
Donald Trump made Iran broke. He's announced that so many times, and there's people who have backed it up with facts. They were so broke, they could never pull a stunt like the one they're pulling right now. Never. It wouldn't even be a thought in their minds because he drained them of their funds and resources. That is what you call strength.
Iran is closer to a nuclear weapon than they were before because of Donald Trump's fickle leadership. And when Iran shot down an American aircraft in international airspace, Donald Trump tweeted, because that's the standard diplomacy of Donald Trump. And when Iranian missiles did fall near U.S. troops and they received traumatic brain injuries, Donald Trump wrote it off as headaches. Look, our allies understand that Donald Trump is fickle. He will go to whoever has the most flattering or where it makes sense to him. Steady leadership like you witnessed today, like you witnessed in April. Both Iranian attacks were repelled. Our coalition is strong, and we need the steady leadership that Kamala Harris is providing.
Senator Vance, the U.S. did have a diplomat.
J.D. Vance is like he's ready for the smoke because honestly, I don't know how Waltz is going to survive this debate without just a bunch of word vomit because what a terrible position he's in, eh? Jeez.
Deal with Iran to temporarily pause parts of its nuclear program, and President Trump did exit that deal. He recently said, just 5 days ago, the U.S. must now make a diplomatic deal with Iran because the consequences are impossible. Did he make a mistake? You have 1 minute.
Well, first of all,
no, it's too far gone now. Of course he'd have to. I don't know what he's going to say. I'm going to let him speak, but goddamn.
Well, Margaret, diplomacy is not a dirty word, but I think that's something that Governor Waltz just said is quite extraordinary. You yourself just said Iran is as close to a nuclear weapon today as they have ever been. And Governor Waltz, you blame Donald Trump, who has been the vice president for the last 3.5 years? And the answer is your running mate, not mine. Donald Trump consistently made the world more secure. Now, we talk about what the sequence of events that led us to where we are right now, and you can't ignore October the 7th, which I appreciate Governor Waltz bringing up. But when did Iran and Hamas and their proxies attack Israel? It was during the administration of Kamala Harris. So Governor Waltz can criticize Donald Trump's tweets, but effective, smart diplomacy and peace through strength is how you bring stability back to a very broken world. Donald Trump has already done it once before. Ask yourself at home, when was the last time, I'm 40 years old, when was the last time that an American president didn't have a major conflict break out? The only answer is during the 4 years that Donald Trump was president.
Boom. How do you compete with that? Seriously, like, how do you even try? Because look at his face. Look at his face. It's not his fault. Honestly, he was brought into a losing battle. There was no way he's going to be able to defend this woman without completely lying. And that's just it.